Feast 3, The Happy Finish, is a comedy horror movie. This movie is actually the second half to the second movie. I mean, it literally starts with the last 5 minutes of the second movie as the beginning of this movie. I'm almost certain that it was just one movie split into two movies, which just super explains why the end of the second movie seems so rushed and weird. Like, it was rushed for sure. It was obvious, blatantly obvious. And that's because Feast 3 is the continuation where that movie exactly left off. So the plot of Feast 3 is we start where the second movie ended, with them trying to get into the police station. Well, they eventually get into the police station and they're like, hey, we gotta get out of town. So this movie is just them basically trying to get out of town while still fighting the monsters. It's the same plot in every movie, just different location. And the main focus for the location is the sewers for this movie. Well, I want to say the main focus, but that's where the movie ends up going, into the sewers. They go underground. So that about wraps up the plot. Nothing too different from the other movies. So my review on Feast 3, The Happy Finish, is that it is literally just one movie, 2 and 3 split in half, which I want to say is a bad thing. I mean, if they made a movie that was too long, like, people aren't going to watch through an almost 3-hour horror movie. Hell, let's split it up, make a little bit more money, makes sense. This one felt a little bit more bloodier and gorier than the second one. And the humor was just as good as the second, even though I would say the second one had that baby part, and that baby part was just hilarious. But there was some pretty funny spots in this one too. Honestly, Feast 1, 2, and 3 are all insanely good. They're funny, they're gory, they're bloody, the creatures are intense. They're just really, really good movies, with 1 being my favorite, but 2 and 3 being definitely more towards the comedy side, but nonetheless, that comedy hit the mark, so that's something that's honestly very rare in horror movies that try to be comedies. So my rating for Feast 3, The Happy Finish, would be a 6.5. I would actually increase the second one to a 7 because I said I would have gave it a 7, but that ending, and because this movie kind of clarifies and like makes it make sense, the ending to the second movie, I'm gonna increase that movie because it's good. And honestly, I would have just gave this movie a 7 also because the whole series is just insanely good. But the ending to this movie was most definitely done on purpose to just not make sense and be horrible. I mean, spoiler, there's just a giant robot that just steps on the Mexican dwarf. In the very end, it makes no sense. There was never no robots. I mean, it's clearly on purpose to be like, it's a comedy movie and the movie's done and that's it. But nonetheless, like I said, Feasts are definitely a must-watch for horror fans. They're just very entertaining, insanely well done, and it has everything you could want. They're not scary though, so. But for your collection, there are also some must-haves because these are going to be rewatches for sure eventually.